Biden, Schumer, Pelosi, Lehigh, Waters, and Feinstein, all in office from 30 to 60 years. By all means, let's blame President Trump for every problem in America today. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line. And of course, we're back again with you today with another weekly update of what's going on in the world and in markets. And of course, we had a unbelievable week last week as the NASDAQ charged to new highs over 10,000. And of course, we had that big debacle on Thursday, which sent the Dow spiraling lower, 1,800. But at the end of the day, look, you always know that there's going to be some conditions in which markets move, and we'll get more into the markets that are in our market segment. But of course, as we continue to watch out for what's going on in general, and of course, we've got lots of areas to talk about between COVID-19 and will there be a relapse? Will there be another wave? Shutting down the economy, the Black Lives Matter movement, all of the issues that are out here, the autonomous police in Seattle. Yet really, other than the Thursday sell-off, the markets were unaffected. But as we continue to watch, the media itself is destroying itself. Again, they have no credibility. Unfortunately, no matter which side you are on, the side you are listening to will make their case for their side versus reporting the news. And of course, we only get the bad. And when we look at the issues in the police departments, yes, there are bad cops. There's bad people everywhere. Okay. There's bad people of all creeds, races, and sectors. And there's always bad apples in a bunch, okay? That's the way it goes. And of course, we continue to see about erasing or destroying history instead of fixing it. And again, I don't see the point behind all of this. What happened, happened. You cannot change what happened by erasing it, okay? Yes, you want to teach our children in the future that these things didn't happen. Well, maybe if we improved upon what we do, and maybe if we became more accepting of everybody, and maybe if we made things more equal to everybody, then we wouldn't have all these problems. Now, again, as you know, I've mentioned before, I lived through much of this in the 60s myself, okay? So I understand it, and I support it, and I hope that we can get past this. But of course, the violence that we are seeing, the issues that we are seeing, we are not going to get past until we get rid of that, okay? We are not going to get past all this until we see an end to the violence and the looting and the stealing and the thuggery, okay? And of course, the defund police movement is as ridiculous as possible. I mean, are we going to take every police officer in the world or in the United States of America and say that they're all no good, that we need to have no police? And of course, isn't it just what we need in Chicago, which would be no police, because of course, we're only the murder capital of the world, and let's get rid of the police. We can have maybe a few more murders. Maybe they can destroy the entire city. Of course, between Chicago being a sanctuary city and between the idiot Lightfoot as mayor, okay, and our ridiculous governor, I mean, let's just tear it down, okay? No wonder people are leaving Illinois in record numbers, okay? But again, as we look at our great Ponzi scheme we've got going on financially, and of course the Fed that is the author and the sponsor of the world's largest Ponzi scheme in history, okay? And unfortunately, they can continue to create this entire Ponzi game because why not? They've got the printing press, I guess, as they say. As long as they've got paper and ink, they can keep on printing, okay? But at the end of the day, we can see that what they do does not work. And what they do will create a much bigger meltdown Again, it has not improved the economy one iota. It has not improved anything except help the extremely wealthy, okay, line their pockets with more money. Okay. Now, again, I'm all for capitalism. Right? I'm all for the ability to make money. And I think that anybody who can create something should have the opportunity to make as much money as they can. I have no problem there. But I do not like it when we are seeing assistance from the Federal Reserve, okay, because again, in my opinion, central banking systems is a scam to begin with, okay? So, but in the meantime, that's what we have, and that's the situation that we get to deal with, which is again why you see the bigger movement towards some of the cryptocurrencies, and again that because all the Fed has managed to do in their time in history is to destroy the dollar, okay? And you can make any case you want for what they're doing. What they're doing does not work. It has never worked. And of course, it will lead to a much bigger collapse instead of letting the free markets determine what is going to be next. Okay. But of course, somehow the Federal Reserve got to rewrite the Constitution and got to rewrite the rules to their way. And of course, you go into that glass house. And of course, if it says it in the book, okay, well, we got to do this and this. Okay, well, that's what we're going to do. Well, that's about as dumb as you can get. And of course, that shows you just how clueless that group is. And of course, there's a big scuttlebutt about the new young investors that are investing through Robinhood, that they're driving the markets up and down like crazy. Are you really kidding me? Do you really believe that a bunch of 10 and 20 and 30 share traders are pushing these markets around? Okay. I mean, again, let's get real, okay? It takes big money to push these markets around. And there certainly is somebody out there or group out there that is doing some of the damage, but it certainly is not the millennials from the Robinhood group that are pushing these markets up and down like a yo-yo, okay? Again, you've seen a lack of liquidity, which is one of the reasons we continue to see higher. You've seen a lack of volume until the last couple of days. So again, those are the things that are pushing this market, but the Goldman Sachs clients, they're getting upset with the rushing of the market. Didn't we have this in the 90s? Is this not very similar to the internet bubble of the 90s? And again, I'm not calling it a bubble. You know our positions. You'll know them when we talk about it in our market segment. But at the end of the day, we're not. The price action tells you what you need to know, regardless. Okay, so again, we continue to see issues abroad and what happens in these markets. Okay, and of course, one of the big groups that is benefiting from all this turmoil and all this trouble is tech. Okay, they smell blood in the water. They're like sharks, man. They are surrounding and taking opportunity as we put brick and mortar out of business. Which again, listen, that's no surprise. That's been coming for years, but they are taking to every opportunity because they can. And again, I don't blame them, okay? But again, I think they're getting far too much assistance from things like the Federal Reserve. I think they're getting too much assistance from many other of these areas out there that are creating the turmoil in this country, okay? That is allowing them to take over, okay? And of course, once it's all done, then there'll be the outcry, well, how could this happen? Well, it can happen because we are too busy not taking care of our business. Okay, we are too busy trying to blame the president for every problem over the last 244 years. Okay, would that be right? And of course, really, okay, is that where we are? Okay, into just strictly trying to blame a man that's been in office 3.5 years, who has had absolutely no help from Congress, who has been tried to have been impeached, tried to have been torn down. Every possible thing that you have seen that could go wrong, that somebody could go after, they have gone after. Okay, so again, we'll talk more about that in my commentary. But in the meantime, I mean, instead of getting down to business, okay, and getting the economy open, all right, now they tried the shutdown, that did not work. And of course, you saw the worst cases of COVID where? Oh, in New York and in Illinois Okay, but especially in New York, and of course, Cuomo was congratulated for such a great job. Well, they're finding out it wasn't such a great job. Okay, the whole process sucked, and the whole process was brutal, which is creating a lot more of these issues. Okay, but when we come down to it, okay, the Fed and the $10 trillion to fight this pandemic, okay, will prove to be not worth it, which was easily identifiable after the first shutdown. Okay, you know what? Sometimes you just got to get it open. Sometimes you just got to let it work, and sometimes you got to let it work through the system. Okay, they're going to find a vaccine at some point. Who knows when? But at some point, we will find treatment. But what we're finding out is that a lot of the cases are those that are already susceptible. So yes, you want to keep the older population shut down and infants. I have no problem with it. Okay, but to close down and to keep, Illinois mostly closed down. You can't go into restaurants and things like that. Michigan, I mean, to keep them completely shut down, all you're doing is destroying your businesses. You're destroying all the small people, which what again is going to do what? Well, it's going to create a much more demand on government to bail them out. And of course, which is exactly what the left likes to have, because that's what they've built their entire practice on over the last, over the 50, 60, 70 years, right? Of building dependence on them so you continue to vote for them. Again, I think that's obviously just almost comical to what we get to see. But of course, that is what we see right now is the continuing of the breakdown of the small business, the breakdown of the ability for people to make a living, okay, in this, because you've shut them down, okay? You've basically broken an entire generation of small business with a lot of these ridiculous policies. In Illinois, there's going to be so many of my favorite restaurants will be out of business when it comes down to it. But again, a lot of this relates back to the Federal Reserve and their lousy policies, and of course, the high tax states of Illinois, California, New York. None of these things help when you're trying to get an economy reopened. And of course, the big thing left is businesses need to get and have the ability to have some financial protection from the virus from a lawsuit standpoint. Okay. There need to be some waivers put out there for these businesses to allow them to reopen. You want to really help bail out America. Bail them out by giving them a clause that forces their insurance to cover claims. You know that there's going to be lawsuits when people go back to work and I get COVID. Oh, I'm going to sue you now. Okay, you know that is unfortunately. That has been a part of the American way now. When we continue to see lawsuit after class action, suit after class action. I mean, you cannot watch TV for more than 10 minutes without some law firm, looking for those with talcum powder or whatever it is, whatever the topic of the day, mesothelioma, whatever the topic of the day. If you've ever had it, if you've ever had the symptoms, call this number. Let's get a class action lawsuit. Again, those are the things that are tearing down and crumbling America is the ridiculousness of everybody having to defend themselves against ignorant lawsuits that can be continued to put out there. Okay, that is what will destroy the American economy. That is what's destroying many things that we do. And again, from my side of the aisle, it ain't right. Okay, again, this needs to be stopped. There's a lot of things that need to be done in this country. Okay, a lot of things that are wrong that can be corrected, but you have to start to correct them. You cannot go back and erase what happened. You have to learn from what happened and fix it going forward. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Top Bob Horowitz, so we're going to stop by here for a break, and we'll be back with more after the break. What's up, everybody? Welcome here. And this is, of course, we have our brand new commodities report from our buddy Andy Hecht, a new part of the Bubba trading team. And of course, again, I got to tell you, Technimental, what a report it is. I mean, it's the most fascinating thing about commodities. If you're a commodities trader, expert, or want to learn more, This report will give you as much detail as you need of the 12 major groups around the globe. And Andy himself has been out trading them and buying and selling physical commodities all over the world. Okay, he has traveled worldwide, lived in Russia, in London, in Colombia, trading and dealing with these commodity issues. You want to check out the report? Please do so. Go to BUBBATrading.com and go to Technomental. You'll see the report there. It's $100 a month or $800 a year. But again, worth every penny. What a dynamic report with some great insight and also some great picks for you as well. And of course, don't forget about our brokerage partners, CTG for futures and commodities. Okay, they do all of our letter of direction trading. They are phenomenal. They have great customer service. Okay, and again, obviously, no requirement to go there. We used others, but again, when I want to make sure I'm getting the best customer service, I use CTG myself. And of course, for equities and options, nothing like Tradier. Okay, at $10 a month with great customer service, tying into our APIs for our hedging program and our new programs coming out. How can I beat them? So, in my eyes, those are the two best, especially for people to use, because, of course, again, I'm a big fan of being able to get customer service and be able to get someone on the phone when I have a problem, not a voicemail. In the meantime, you want to check out either one of those, just send me an email at bubba@bubbatrade.com. I'll be happy to send you their links. And, of course, don't forget about our high school program at Patreon, patreon.com/BubbaTrading. That's patreon.com/BubbaTrading. Now, let's get back to the show, Bubba's Bottom Line, and the markets update. Welcome back, everybody. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday. What is it? June the 15th already. My goodness. Okay. In the meantime, okay, so actually June the 14th. Excuse me. In the meantime, so last week, we were sailing along, singing a song, and the markets were charging a little bit higher. And the NASDAQ exploded at 10,000. And of course, it looked like it was never going down, but actually Wednesday did look like a potential blow up to the upside. And of course, pow, then came Thursday, right? And they just crippled the markets, and it was just a wholesale event of selling and panic and puking, and out they went, okay? In the meantime, we were long going into that. And then, of course, on Friday morning, we reversed the Dow, the S&P, the Russell. And believe it or not, we're still long the NASDAQ, okay? But again, not a surprise. And again, the real question will be, is this the start of the next big sell-off, or was this just another buying opportunity? Now, there was some damage done on Thursday, but again, I don't think that it was major. And I don't know that I'd be willing to go out on the limb and say that the markets have turned and it's time to start selling. I think when you look at the big picture here, basically the markets came down to support and kind of help, okay? So I think that when you looked at Thursday and Friday's action, Thursday was almost identical to October 15th of 1987, okay? And Friday started out to be like that, the big rally up and then the collapse intraday. But the fact that it came back and rallied was different than the October 16th of 1987. Now, I was there, so I can actually speak about it. I was actually in the pits then. But and the day, okay, again, we don't predict forward. We let the algorithms make decisions, okay? But I don't see anything that's really changed. I mean, we've been floating around on fairly crappy economic data to begin with. But again, we go back to what is priced into the markets, right? All the bad news is kind of priced in. So if it's worse, like again, if there's a big relapse in COVID, we could see a major sell-off. But again, we might break down from, I don't know, we're actually prepared for it. So if we do break down, no worries. The oil markets reached our top end target of 40. Now we're still long oil, but I'm looking and hoping to get short soon. Okay. Again, the 40 target was where we thought we could get to, and we got there. And again, unfortunately, I'm still long. I'm looking for a spot to reverse it, but again, I will be waiting for the algorithms. The metals look kind of ranky. Okay. Now we had been long all three. Now we're still long gold and silver and short platinum. Gold started to look very close to being very ugly last week, but did manage to bounce a little bit. Silver don't look good all of a sudden. Again, I won't change until the algorithms change, but overall, from a straight looking at it, they don't look very good. Okay. Now, again, I could be wrong. We could turn them right around. It could come to support, but I'm long right now, but not going to, not thrilled. Okay. The bonds, the notes, we got slapped around a little bit, right? We were long, we got short, and now we're long again. So we had, over the last 2 weeks. Okay. Well, actually, we were short for quite a while, and then we had the big rally, and we got long, and now they obviously got hammered a little bit. But again, we'll see what happens. Again, the one thing I always know, at some point when we are wrong, it will reverse out, and we'll be done, and we'll be on the other side. Not a big deal. Okay. The dollar continues to be under pressure, but it had picked up a little bit of strength. But again, we expected that, right? 95 was our target on the downside for the first bounce, and we're bouncing basically from 95. Again, I would think we're still going lower. It doesn't look very good. And we'll see. Listen, we don't care. I mean, at the end, we'll get to the right side if this isn't it. But right now, we're short dollars, long currencies, along the foreign exchange. So we'll see. We'll see where they go from here. Copper continues its move higher, and again, we're continuing to be long copper, short natural gas, and again, I don't look for, again, I'm not trying to predict out, certainly, going into the summer, I'm not as concerned about being short natural gas. I'm hoping at some point we'll switch here, because certainly at $1.80 or whatever the hell it is just, it is so paltry that at some point, just, low prices and commodities. Low prices will cure low prices, usually, at some point. So, again, I'm always afraid of what happened. But again, usually that doesn't happen until the wintertime, when they have to burn off all the excess, and they create a shortage. And, of course, up your nose it goes. In the meantime, okay, the meats look very weak. Okay, now, again, we're long cattle. Okay, we're long feeder and fats. We're short hogs. But they don't look great. Okay, I mean, again, I would love to say they look great. Now, again, I don't mind being long, because I do believe that we're going to see some stuff, and I think you're going to start to see some of the slaughterhouses are up, and you're going to start to see us come back into, full operation. Okay, so that is okay with me. But we have seen there has been some pressure the last couple of days, and certainly they don't look great. And of course, the hogs, I don't know. It's hard to understand how weak they can be. But of course, you've got a lot of issues with China and trade and all these other things. But again, we've got to get these things to market. We've got to get the whole supply chains open to alleviate this oversupply, which is the same thing that we're seeing in the grains. But now grains look a little bit better. Wheat still looks pretty pathetic and is right now at a key level that it could really break down. But corn and beans are starting to break up. And actually, as it turns out, we're long corn and beans, we're short wheat. But we're seeing the attempts to break out and move to higher prices. And I think that will continue. Okay. I think when we look at the bigger picture, okay, these will continue to go higher. We're at ridiculous prices. And I think what you're going to see is some farmers are going to choose not to plant this year at all. Okay. I mean, they're going to get rid, if we don't have a weather event, they're going to get rid of this oversupply by not planting. I think you're starting to see that already, that they're going to create their own shortage. Okay. Because again, there's no point for many of them to plant this year if they haven't already, because again, should I plant something that's a loser to begin with? Should I hope that something happens? So you can see that most farmers are sitting on a massive oversupply to begin with. So it would be no surprise to see some choose not to plant. Okay, but we'll see at the end. We still have the price fixing scam going on, and of course, usually there's wherever there's smoke, there's usually some fire. Okay, and we've seen these things before back in the past with some price fixing deals, and of course that's another issue that's been created in the market, because of course the farmers are getting murdered, and the packers that are fixing price are making a fortune, and the consumers getting murdered. So again, we'll see how it plays out. Again, I'm not accusing. I'm just saying that those things do happen and have happened in the past. So we'll see what happens. But again, let's focus on the big picture. We got a next earnings season coming out. We've got things that are starting to improve. And again, remember, markets work on expectations. Okay, they don't work on fact. Okay, the fact is after the fact. Okay, expectations are what's going forward. So we know that they've already priced in horrible earnings. Blah blah blah. All the things that are there have already been priced to the market. So did they do a good job at pricing how bad they're going to be? So if the numbers are better than expected, okay, then the markets will continue to rally. If the numbers are worse, then you could start to see some selling. So again, I think this is a pretty big week in general for markets as to whether that we're going to see a trend reversal, or we're going to start to see the markets remove up again. But we'll see where it goes from here. Again, there's no way to really predict it. I mean, I know at some point we're going to have a massive sell-off, but I'm not thinking this is that point yet. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz will be back right after the break with my commentary right here on Bubba's Bottom Line. So kids, again, remember our great brokerage partners. I mean, again, we've got the best in my opinion. Okay, now I use a lot of brokers for both equities and for commodities. But when I zone in and who I want my people to do business with would be CTG for commodities and futures, because of course they handle our letter of direction trading for our futures portfolios. And again, they do a great job with it. And again, they're not the cheapest. They're not the most expensive. They're fairly priced, okay? But they get the job done. And that's what I want. I want somebody who takes care of and gets the job done. So again, if you want to make sure that you get the best information and be able to talk to somebody, CTG is the one for futures and commodities and for equities. There's something like Trader, okay? Again, first of all, it's $10 a month, okay? Second of all, they get great customer service. They've got good platforms they can use. And, okay, our APIs, or their API, we tie into their API. Okay, I'm not a computer guy, but I do know we have some great dynamic software for hedging and for other things that we do. And certainly, I urge you to check them out. And if you want check either one of those out, just email me at bub@bubbatrading.com, and I'll be happy to send you their information. And don't forget about our high school investing program at Patreon, patreon.com/BubbaTrading. That's patreon.com/BubbaTrading. Now back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line, and it is time for my commentary. And of course, I've always got something to say. But obviously, I want to go on record. I support the peaceful protesting at Black Lives Matter. I support equal rights and equal pay and all those things. I think it's the right thing to do. That's the way I was brought up. And living through busing and integration and being a Jewish guy that was hated, because listen, Jews went through a lot of the same things back then. I do believe in their movement, but I am concerned about some of the athletes and some of the Hollywood stars and things that go on, because again, they're a little bit different. I don't get affected, okay, whether, China buys from me or not or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But of course, their human rights is the worst in the world, okay, or at least among the worst in the world. And nobody ever talks about it, okay? And of course, Hollywood makes special adjustments. And when China did something back during the basketball season, none of the basketball players showed outrage, or anybody, because, of course, it was about money. So I always wonder, okay, of how everybody picks their causes that they want to support, okay? And again, usually when it comes to money, if it's going to cost them money, you hear crickets. And I find that to be somewhat problematic. Again, I am a full supporter of equal rights. I am obviously, I can only live with the history that we have. Okay, I can't change it. I can only try to make it better going forward. And I think that should be our target goal, is not to condemn every police and defund the police. I mean, somebody just got fired. A Chicago economist got fired for saying that was ridiculous. Well, I agree that defunding police is ridiculous. We're going to give up any protection that we have. I think that overall, okay, the police are very valuable. Okay, police, army, fire, all of these services that take care of us. There's bad people in my industry. Okay, they're not going to hurt you like police can hurt you, but they're bad people. Those need to be taken out, not the entire department. Okay, you can't say that we don't need protection. Okay, and of course this autonomous no police zone in Seattle. What can I say about that? But I just want to remind you of one thing. Just look at the issues in America today, and look at Pelosi, 33 years in office. Feinstein, 60 years in office. Biden, 51 years in office. Schumer, 43 years. What's your name from California? Barbara Waters, 47 years. Okay, and Lehigh, 51 years. I mean, there's your problem. Okay, career politicians. That's your problem. I mean, did these problems just prop up in the last 3.5 years? Okay, really? Let's blame President Trump for every problem that's come in this country since its inception, because obviously that's what they want to do. But think about that. I just gave you 6 of the top politicians in the country that have been in office, minimum of 33 years, up to almost 60 years. Okay, and what have they done? Hey, everybody, look. Have a great weekend. Have a great Sunday. And hopefully we'll get things going back and forth. Hopefully Major League Baseball get up their ass and come back to work. But overall, okay, hopefully we will get many of these issues straightened out. Hopefully we will get more peaceful. And hopefully going forward, we will become a better America. Because at the end of the day, it benefits all of us to be a better America and better to our brothers, our neighbors, and the people around us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. This is Bubba's Online. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We'll be back tomorrow with a Bubba's Daily Update, but next Sunday, of course, with another Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.